Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the podcast. It's season 2 and I'm super honored to be joined by Risqué Emparezz and Jess Risqué. How are we doing? Jess, tell me, how's your week been?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty busy.
What have you been up to this week? Anything music related or?
Bit of music, bit of work, bit of cleaning.
Any gigs this week?
Not this weekend coming, but last weekend I had High Voltage.
That's right.
And
yeah.
stream on Uproar Scotland.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's right, the Australia Day one. You were there as well. You started before me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Em, how has your week been? What have you been up to this week?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I've just been working, and obviously I had the gig last week at High Voltage with Jess and on the Uproar Scotland page as well.
Cool. So we all celebrated Australia Day together through Scotland, hey? Nah, that's cool. And High Voltage, sit-down events. Tell me, what are your guys' thoughts on sit-down events? I mean, it's great that we're having them and whatnot, but do you guys miss having the dance floor? Tell me, Jess, do you miss how the events used to be and whatnot, or?
I do miss my dance floor. I find just to go out and have that dance is really good therapy, and it's free. But
bit of exercise, bit of cardio.
But I actually am enjoying the sit-down events. They've still got a really, really good vibe, and I don't know, you tell people I'm playing sit-down, she's like, oh, that must be shit. And I'm like, actually, I had, at first I was like, oh, what's this going to be like? But, I dig them. They're good. They're better than nothing.
Yeah, it hit me the other night too. It's like, hang on, I love sitting down, and I love this music.
And it's just really good to be able to see each other every couple of weeks.
That's
and just mental health wise, having that social aspect as well.
100%.
We all just play musical chairs and get to see each other.
Yeah, it's great to see everyone
good
again.
Music, get to have a play.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Em? What are your thoughts on sit-down events?
I obviously miss the crowd a lot. I vibe off of that energy. So at sit-down events, I've obviously found that it's a lot more daunting for myself personally. Mm-hmm. But as long as I have Risqué there, I'm pretty much, my anxiety is, a lot less, intense.
Oh, I'm the same, don't worry. I prefer to be on stage with someone else, so when I'm on my own and whatnot. But, just to have that, extra person to feed off, the energy. But anyway, DJ life, am I right?
True.
That is the good thing about back-to-backs.
Totally. Anyways, moving on with the show, I like to start off with everyone's origin story. So, Jess, tell me about you first. I know back in the day you began with your shot, is that correct? Or tell me, how did you get into DJing?
So I used to just go to events on weekends. My son's dad would have my son on weekends because he'd work night shift through the week and then had nothing to do. So I started going to all these festivals and these events and keeping myself occupied and just started to really fall in love with just the whole atmosphere of events and that world. And I was actually driving with a friend one day and we'd just seen Havana Brown actually the night before in Dubbo, and we were driving out to Cobar, and I was like, how cool would it be to get paid to make music, play music, and just to see everyone dancing to your shit. And I was like, that'd be that's the dream right there.
Yeah, not have a 9-to-5 job,
Yeah. And I was like, how sick would it be? And she's like, yeah, that'd be mad. And we just sat there, and after about 10 minutes, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then I went and brought my first little Wago controller and
awesome.
Started practicing. And then I went and seen one of the DJs at the local pub, and I said to him, I was like, oh, look, I've started to try and become a DJ. If you ever sell any gear or if you ever got any tips, let me know. He rang me about 2 days later and he's like, I have a show for you. And I was like, what do you mean you have a show for me? I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Wow.
And he said, come in on the weekend and I'll show you. And he said, trust me, anyway, 90% is your music selection. Don't worry about it. And, this was at the local pub. And so this was Derby Day weekend, which is the busiest night in Dubbo.
What year was that, sorry?
It's probably about 2012.
Okay, cool. So about 8 odd years ago.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then so he just showed me the basics of the decks, and then gave me a heap of free music and sent me on my way. And I actually had a blast. We had a few thousand people come in the pub. It was huge for my first show.
Awesome. How exciting.
It was really, really good. And then the bloke I was covering for rang me the next day and he's like, I heard you went really, really well. And I was like, yeah, it was really fun. Like, if you ever need me to fill in. He's like, well, actually, I'm looking at getting out of it. Do you want my Friday, Saturday night residency?
Wow. Yeah, right.
I was like, what? So within 2 months of deciding I wanted to be a DJ, I had a permanent weekend residency.
Wow, cool.
And then was there for a couple of years before I then moved on to clubs. But the name came around. We had DJ Rhino and DJ Rookster. So they're like, we need an R name. And that was the best I could come up with.
Okay. It's a great name, though.
But, I used to, like, wear a lot of Nike stuff. And, I still do. Like, just wear, very tomboy sort of stuff. So I guess risque, meaning, like, sexual promiscuous, doesn't really suit me in that way. But I try to sort of go with the brand through promo photos and stuff.
No, it's cool. You got to do that with
marketing. A bit of a bogan in real life.
Fair enough. Cool. How about you, Em? How did you first get behind the decks, or what got you started, really? What's your origin story?
So obviously I grew up listening to a lot of electronic dance music, so it was kind of embedded in me from a really young age.
Awesome.
But actually DJing, I went to Sydney DJ School, which is run by a guy named Andrew Duffield. And I did 4 lessons with him, and then I was like, oh, this is really fun. I really want to, kind of get into this. But it was like, I think what really sparked the interest was after DEF CON 2018. Like, just being a punter, like, standing there and watching someone like, for instance, Tone Shifters when he played. I'm like, the first person I ever saw play was Tone Shifters at an under 18s rave party type thing. And just seeing that, and I was like, I want to do this. I can do this. The only thing is, like, I have crippling anxiety, and I'm just like, But I find, like, with music, it kind of helps with that.
Yeah, 100%.
So, after a couple of lessons with Andrew, I bought a controller, and then I practiced for about a month, and then I put the controller away for about 6 months and didn't do anything music related. And then Your Shot came around, so I applied for that, got into the competition, and kind of things took off after that gig. I went overseas, did a music production course, and then when I came back a few months later, I made my debut at Massive, which was that was my goal. As soon as I started DJing, I'm like, I need to make it to Massive and at least play once. And, I'm really fortunate that I've been able to play twice now, and so.
Yeah, and you're both getting regular gigs at High Voltage as well and whatnot, which is great. Cool. Let's talk about maybe what was the track that, I don't know, sparked both of your interests in the hardest styles. Tell me, what was maybe that one song that you heard and you're just like, hey, I got to get into this scene, or I got to try and, like, learn how to do this. Tell me, Jess, what was your track?
Scrap Attack would have been one of the main ones.
Old DEF CON anthem, classic, yeah.
But I used to lap around the streets to Pretty Rave Girl on my little red P's. But back then I didn't even know, because I was in the country. I didn't grow up with the electronic music. It was all like R&B and pop. And
more instrumental stuff, hey?
Yeah, more commercial sort of stuff. So I used to call hardstyle techno.
Fair enough.
So it wasn't until I got into it more that I was then like, oh, these are all the subgenres, or this is this and this is that. For me, back in the day, I was like, this is all techno. So, probably, I think when I heard Pretty Rave Girl, I would have only been a teenager.
Yeah, and then that converted you.
And I was like, I just used to, like, I'd have people come in my car and they'd all, like, be all R&B, and I'd be like, nah, I got this techno, listen to my techno.
Doof time, yeah.
When the window's down.
You have a sub as well to go with it?
No, but I had the little UV strips all through the car.
Oh, wow.
And I'd wired like a few bunch together, and you put the cigarette light and the whole car would light up.
You had your own rave going on in the car. That's great. Awesome. How about for you, Em? What was the track that changed your life?
Well, I grew up listening to like Scooter and The Prophet and Headhunters.
All the classics.
Probably something from Hetty, like Her Voice or...
Oh, yeah. Shuffling days, hey.
Oh... I could never shuffle, but, like, I tried, and that's what matters.
I feel you. I was the same, yeah. Gave it a go. It's just like, okay, I'm not meant for this, yeah.
No. Dark Oscillators, Superstar DJs.
Oh, yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Oh my
Totally.
gosh.
Everyone was shuffling to that one in the schoolyard.
I
Absolutely.
used to have that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, I'm moving on for the show. So we've got some questions ready for you both. And first one's going to come from Damien. He would like to know, for both of you, what was your favourite festival to attend? And I'm going to extend on that. What's the favourite event that you've both played at? So starting with you, Jess, what was the favourite festival you attended first?
I'm sure if the coronavirus didn't happen, it would have been Europe DEFCON this year or last year. But probably DEFCON Australia, because I haven't had the chance to go to Europe, and my ticket's waiting for me when it opens back up. To play at would be a mixture of DEFCON, Stereosonic, and the Groove Cruise.
Yeah, right.
I did the Miami and the LA one, but
Wow.
What was the largest crowd that you played to? Was it the stereo one or?
Yeah, well, Stereo, DEFCON, I had a really good crowd too. Stereo, I was on the beach days as you walked in, so everybody that come into the festival had to come past my stage. So then you'd have people group around, but it's like everyone thought the sand was germy, so there was like this big gap in front of me, but then there'd be thousands of people on the outside of the sand. But I was like second set, so I just got people coming in, stopping. Some people would stay.
It's all right, prime location, really.
Yeah. And like I even had a few people come up to me over the coming weeks at clubs, and they'd be like, "Oh, I seen you at Stereo. So yeah, because I was that prime location, I got quite a few people in. DEFCON, I had a really good crowd. I was the secret act for the stage, so it was when they had all the different secret acts. I was white hot for the white stage, so I couldn't even tell like my friends. So I just like told my friends, "Oh my god, I heard who the secret act is. You got to be at this stage at this time. You're going to be blown away." And just their faces were priceless.
Surprise! Yeah, cool.
But because it was like the secret act, I think must have obviously helped with that hype. And I was on the water stage, and I had majority of the grandstand full. So it was a really, really good experience.
Cool. How about for you, Em? What was maybe the favourite festival you attended first?
Favorite festival, definitely Decibel in 2019. For me, that I haven't been to DEFCON Netherlands yet, but I don't know, the way that they do it overseas is like completely different to Australia, and it's a whole different crowd.
New level experience, really.
So many different like stages, and they cover like almost every subgenre. Like, you've got your industrial, you've got your hardcore, you've got your raw indoor, outdoor stages, just in case one wasn't enough.
Something for everyone. Absolutely.
So good. And probably like my favorite thing to play at so far has been obviously my massive debut, played on the same night as Ratty Daddy or Radical Redemption.
Cool.
So,
I was like, Ratty Daddy, huh? Cool.
And yeah, obviously, like, I think the first high voltage sit down that we had as well, just because like for me that was my first high voltage gig that I had played that wasn't a live stream. And it was also the first sit down back post COVID. So for me, I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, it would have been quite an experience.
Nothing as exciting as a DEFCON set, but hey, one day.
Cool.
Next question. So this is going to be a second one from Damien, and he would like to know from both of you, how do you prepare for a set, or how do you unwind, get yourselves relaxed and whatnot? And we'll start with you first.
Okay. I don't know, I don't drink, so I'll have like coffee and then just listen to deep house in the car on the way to a set.
Yeah,
Something completely opposite to hardstyle or like heavy. Yeah.
I'm the same. Yeah, make sure your ears aren't completely like deaf by the time you get to the club. Hey?
Literally, yeah. Put in the hearing protection, make sure it kind of,
Cool. How about you, Jess?
No, I like to pump it on the way there to pump me up.
Polar opposites.
Yeah. Sweet.
Oh, a bit of Cardi B.
Wow. Variety. Cool.
No, I like to wind down with the softer stuff. I'll listen to house or a 90s mix or something like that on the way home. When I leave the club, I'm like, yeah all right, I need to chill my ears.
Yeah, I'm like, no noise, no music.
Then I won't sleep. If I go home listening to hardcore, I get home, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go again.
The after party. Yeah, right. Next question. This one's going to come from, we're going to call him Mr. Q. And he would like to know, will there be merchandise? So I'm going to change that up a bit. Jess, do you have any merch plan at the moment?
Yes, I do have some plans coming.
And who is that coming from?
I am hooking up with Rave Central.
Cool.
And then I also have a few goodies that I had made for some promo shoots that I only have one each of and I can't get more of, and I'm looking at maybe putting them out in a competition soon.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Something for the socials. Hey, create a bit
as
of
I
awareness.
don't want them anymore and they're just going to sit hanging up in my cabinet covering dust. Someone will have them.
Yeah, of course. That's a good idea. How about you, Em? Any plans or ideas for merchandise coming up?
I mean, I have ideas in my head. Have I put them, pen to paper? But not yet. But as soon as I think I'm set on, I'm very meticulous when it comes down to details of things. So once I know, the cut and the fit and the colours, then I will have
wait till you're 100% ready and then
exactly,
go for it.
Quality over quantity for me. So.
No, that's cool. Fair enough. Next question. And I know we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but changing it up, what is your favourite track? So just in general, doesn't have to be a Harder Styles track. We'll start with you first, Jess. Do you have a favourite track at the moment?
My all-time favourite would probably be In the End by Linkin Park.
Wow, that takes me back. Good old high school days. Yeah, that was me before the Harder Styles as well.
Followed closely by Eminem. Eminem would be my favourite artist, but favourite song, In the End, Linkin Park.
Yeah, very feelsy track too.
Yeah.
How about you,
I
Em?
love it.
I really like that track as well. But
We're
I think right now, literally, or Slipknot, emo days.
Yes.
I think right now, just as my cheesy little guilty pleasure, I really like Tiesto's The Business. I find that on repeat on my Spotify quite often. I don't know how that happens. Or even some, I'm going to be really weird right now, but Andrea Bocelli. I don't know. It goes from one to the other.
Nah, sweet.
No chill.
Well, I bet you I can top that off. I'm at the moment just obsessed with Miley Cyrus's new album. So I'm listening through that all the time, all the windows down. All the boys give me so much smack for it and whatnot. I'm like, I don't care. I'll fucking turn it up.
You do you.
Exactly right.
My son got me into that Blackpink.
Oh, actually, no, you know what? It's not quite hitting the memory. Sorry.
K-pop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah, very
Very different demographic. Yeah, very poppy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but they do half English, half Korean. But yeah, my son, I don't know where he found them. I think they've been in the top 40 and that a lot as well. But yeah, he started playing all the time, and then now I find myself occasionally, I'll just be like, I might listen to that song.
Cool. Now, moving on with the show. So I always like to ask the guests, in regards to advice for new people and up-and-comers, let's talk a little bit about people that want to start off DJing and music production. What advice or what would be the first thing that you would suggest to someone first starting out? You first, Jess.
My biggest thing I tell people is just be yourself. Be yourself. Have faith in yourself. Too many people don't believe in themselves. And it's when I first started, I'm sitting there thinking, how cool would it be? And it took a few minutes to be like, hey, why can't I do that? Too many people idolize other people but don't ever put themselves in that position. Absolutely. That really, we put our mind to it, anyone can do anything. So I think people just got to believe in themselves a little bit and a lot. And just don't be afraid. You're going to fail many times before you succeed. And you can't let that get you down either. And then my big thing is I will reply to every fan that messages me, no matter how long it takes me. Even with a live stream, I'll have 700 comments. I'll go through and say thank you to everyone, or give it a heart react to show that I've seen it and I recognize it and I appreciate it. And I'm very big on staying true to who I am, and no matter what length I get to, I wouldn't be wherever I get to without my fans. So I just think showing appreciation to the people who got you where you are is another big thing.
Cool. Makes sense. And how about you, Em? What advice would you give to someone starting out?
Yeah, kind of the same thing, just always remain true to who you are. And obviously there's going to be, different industries are different, but people are going to try to change you, or they're going to try to influence you to, either play a certain type of music or act a certain way, dress a certain way. And it's like, learn to become comfortable with saying no. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, and something that I'm getting quite good at. Like, and I don't mean that in like a really like, cocky way or anything. I'm just, it's okay. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to not want to do what everybody else wants to do,
100%, yeah.
And just work hard, be patient.
Big one.
And, if you really want something, like regardless of what your motivation is, you'll get it. It's only a matter of time, but you do have to work for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, you both started off with DJing, is that correct? Before production? Yep. What advice would you give to someone that's looking to get behind the decks for the first time? Because it can be quite overwhelming and daunting. You see all the buttons, you see all the lights. What would you say to someone hopping behind the decks for the first time? Jess?
I'm probably not the best one to ask for that. I think I had a panic attack every time I hopped behind the decks for the first 3 years that I played.
What would you say to a younger Jess maybe then?
It'll get better.
Just keep going, hey.
Yeah, and you get by the first, second or third song, you're good to go. And especially when I've done the festivals, like I'm like, before I hop on, I'm like, my heart's like 200 miles an hour.
200 BPM.
Yeah. Faster than what I'm going to play. But, no, but it's just that having that confidence in yourself. So
maybe a bit of practice too beforehand.
Yes.
Would you say set preparation is crucial, or?
So when I first started, I used to set prep all the time. When I started playing electronic music, but when I played all the pub stuff, we never mix that stuff. You just play. But with the electronic, when I started doing sets, I would plan my sets, and then once I started actually doing back-to-backs at Massive all the time, then I was like, and not having that ability to be able to prep my whole set so it's perfectly clean, then I was like, I loved the back-to-backs. I was like, this is cool, this is fun. And then I stopped planning my sets because I had more fun watching and following the crowd. And there's so many times that I'll put a set list together and then I won't even end up playing a single song out of that set list because I've gone down a different path with my set and the crowd's gone a different way. Or like I'll plan to play a raw set and I'll end up playing reverse, or vice versa. But
so you reckon it's important to be able to adapt, hey?
Yeah. And I think that was a valuable thing I did get from playing at pubs for the first couple of years, was I really learnt to read crowds, which I think is very important. Like, I do think that majority of it is your song selection. So like I've played a show one time and they booked me and then it was headlining for an R&B show and I was like, but I don't play R&B.
Shit.
And she goes, do you have any? And I was like, I've got some old 90s stuff from the pub. I was like, I don't listen to the new stuff. And she's like, you'll be right. Anyway, so many people said to me, that was the best set ever. And I was like, really, this song selection thing is really true. Because it was just that I was playing all these old 90s classics. My mixing was horrible. It was horrendous.
But they were crowd pleasers,
But they were crowd pleasers. And so nobody even noticed my mixing because of my song selection. So I think when a lot of people start out playing too, so many people have I think there's a fine line between being true to yourself, but then people that just be like, oh, I'm just going to play what I want to listen to.
Yeah.
So I think that's people also got to, we are there for the people at the end of the day. So I do think it's a fine line between still staying true to you, playing what you want to play, but then also thinking about what the crowd wants to hear as well and what will please them.
Makes sense.
So I think, it's just finding
that balance, really.
That balance. But I think when you're first starting off, it is good to set prep until you get those mixing skills up to where you can comfortably just wing it.
Yeah, it makes sense. How about you, do you feel set prep in your early days is important, or maybe DJ lessons? What do you reckon would be best for people starting out?
Well, through my DJ lessons, I learned about like all of the software and stuff that comes with DJing, and how to set prep and set cue points and things like that. And I think when you're starting out, for me personally, it really helped me. I'm now like, you know, trying to get away from all of that, and I might have, you know, the first 1 to 3 songs in my head and I'm like, cool, this is what we're going to play. But, you know, like Jess said, you have to adapt and like learn to read the crowd, and it's something that I'm still getting used to. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm not the best at reading crowds just yet, but, you know, like with everything, like practice makes perfect. And, you know, I think sometimes in our scene people can be pretty set on what they want to hear. Like if they go to a night that's specifically raw, if you don't play a certain type of raw, they're like, oh, what is this? But you know, like Jess said, you are there for the crowd. And somebody asked me like last week, you know, would you take song requests and song selections? I go, look, as long as I have the actual track on my USB, I'm like, I will factor it into a set. I'm like, because at the end of the day, we're there to provide entertainment for you. And it's not like it's like a DEF CON or like, you know, massive set where I'm like, no, I can't, you know, but yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. That's why I like the mashup sets, and that's why I got into playing mashup, electro mashup when I first started, was because they wanted commercial in the country, but I wanted electro. So I stumbled upon mashups, and then I was like, hey, I get my electro, they get their style.
Best of both worlds.
And best of both worlds. And that club is now electronic club. It was only R&B when I started there.
Good on you.
So
completely changed that up.
Yeah. So they still have their R&B nights, and they'll still finish with R&B. Cool. But I just want to quickly touch base. I also did the Sydney DJ school as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that was when I decided I wanted to get a bit more insight into going from the pub music, the top 40, into the electronic music. So because I lived in Dubbo, I actually did a 2-day, like we did, it was like a 6-week course, wasn't it, for me, or 4? Couple of week course, but we ended up squishing it down into 2 days.
Yeah, wow. Okay, cool.
I did 2 full days with him, and he definitely did teach me a lot. And it was like just
Check
learning
him
the
out.
programs. It's Sydney DJ School is really, really good.
Awesome.
And Andrew's lovely. And then he also helped me actually get my first show in Sydney.
Oh, cool.
Which was at White Rabbit. And there was one other person in the room. So another thing I'll say is no matter how many people you have in your room, put your best show on every time. I had one person in the room I didn't know. Turns out they did bookings for Candies.
Oh, wow.
I then got a booking for Candies. I then got a booking for Roxy. I then got a booking for Home Bar. And my whole Sydney career spiraled from that. My Sydney show spiraled from that one show with that one person in the room I didn't know.
Yeah, what a story. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, social media, every episode I bring it up, but social media is such a crucial part of just our careers, or like everything that we're doing these days. What advice would you give to someone that's starting out their socials, and in terms of what's important from your social media? Like, do you guys think that consistent content is important? Smashing Instagram stories, or even YouTube? Like, tell me, Em, what are your thoughts with social media? What do you think is really important these days?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really bad with social media. I hate social media.
Well, you got a few.
But
you're up to what, the 1,500 mark on your following, your likes. So you're doing really well.
Facebook,
Yeah, and it's growing
Instagram's
quick.
slowly growing. With me personally, I take the approach of having the photos that I do upload, I only want them to be professional photos.
Makes sense.
Just because like that's the way that I want my brand to come across. I want it to be obviously fun and, you know, but I want it to also embody the professionalism and that side of things.
Just the whole quality aspect. Hey?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to branding. Like prior to like any of this stuff, just seriously sit down and think like, okay, what do I want to people to like perceive me as? Like, what do I want, you know, Empress or Risqué to mean? What, you know? And I think you can kind of branch off of that. But yeah, obviously staying interactive with your fans or your supporters is vital.
It's engagement.
Yeah. And I think at this current time, like with all the COVID and stuff, it's a really great time to kind of engage more with your fans through live streams, through, you know, SoundCloud mixes, because more people are at home and they're on, you know, their phones. So
100%.
That's my 2 cents.
Cool. How about you, Jess? What would you say in regards to social media is quite important?
Well, I don't ever do the story thing. I always talk shit about that. I never update my stories. Or I'll play a show and I have the sickest crown and I'll be like, I didn't even take one video.
Oh, I'm the same, yeah.
But, yeah, Facebook, I've just recently hit over 5K on
Awesome.
Facebook.
Congrats.
So that's a big, thank you. That's a big milestone for me. I have received a lot of new fans from the UK from the live streams of COVID. COVID hasn't been the worst for my career. I reckon I could comfortably go and do a tour in the UK now.
Yeah, awesome.
I have a really, really strong fan base there now. And it's so nice to be able to reach that Democrat I wouldn't have been able to reach before.
Yeah,
totally.
So that's been really, really good. I have really enjoyed that. SoundCloud, I recommend Hyperdit to everybody. So it's just for people that don't know what it is, it just makes someone follow you if they want to download your track and follow you, share them, comment, stuff like that. And mashups. They have been the 2 ways I've grown my SoundCloud. I'm at almost 3,000. So that's the way I've built that up. And with the Instagram, I have recently cleaned my Instagram and I only have professional photos. It's different to what I'll post on my Facebook, and I've ripped off all my posters. I do tend to look like my press pack. I looked on Lucky Entertainment at how their artists set out their press pack years ago when I first set up my press pack. So I will look at the bigger artists that I aspire to and I will use them as a reference, be like, okay, and then I actually had someone say, why don't you take all the posts off Instagram? And I was like, no, but then people can't see where I play. And then I was like, So I went and had a look on a few artists that I follow. No one had any posters. And I was like,
that's true.
Right, you know what? I'm going to take them down and just have me leave the posters for my Facebook, and then I'll put the posters on my story. So I do put all my posters on my story now.
Create a little highlight.
Yes, and I do have, and I've set up little highlights for
That's a good idea.
shows, posters. But I think, constant content is important. And if I don't have any new DJ photos, I'll post another photo, or I've still got photos in my press pack that I haven't posted, which, if I end up running out of DJ photos, then I'll post one of those. Or I'll go back and look, and I might have done a show which I had 3 or 4 really good photos, but I obviously didn't want to post the same night multiple times, so then I'll just take a photo from that.
That's cool. So you've got a little folder stored up of just content that you can put out over time and whatnot. Yeah.
So I'll try and do something at least once a week, I think is good. And I do find you've also got your peak times. So a lot of people make mistake to post something in the middle of the day when people are at work.
Yeah, I know, right?
Or I think between 6 p.m. and 7:30, I find for me is peak time where I'm going to get a bigger reach and more people interaction.
Yeah, they're bored looking on their devices and whatnot.
You can check all the analytics and it literally pops up hey, I'm here.
No, it's a great idea, absolutely. And on the topic of analytics and whatnot, do you guys look into boosting posts or anything like that to extend your reach, or do you guys keep it more organic for now?
I did when I first started to sort of help, but
I'm not gonna lie, I abuse it with a lot of releases and whatnot.
I did it with a lot of international crowd because when I first started, I obviously want to make it in Australia, but my ultimate goal for hardstyle is obviously the Netherlands and Europe, and it's where it's more consistent. So I did specifically boost posts on Facebook, SoundCloud. That's where a lot of my listeners are coming from now. The Netherlands, Germany, the UK, France, they're all in my top 3, and they just kind of rotate.
I love on SoundCloud how you can see all the different countries.
Yeah.
Me too. I find it so interesting.
Love that.
Yeah, and I get excited, oh, there's Egypt is picking up. All right, I'm going to Egypt.
Following Kazakhstan.
Yeah, so random, but it's
you
good
just see
to know.
random little ones, and you're oh.
Few little stragglers Sweden, there you are. We're going to Sweden. Cool.
But I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So when I first started, but right now, as long as I release during those peak times, I get a pretty good organic response.
Yeah, it's important to be mindful of that stuff. Hey, just like, best time to post stuff or whatnot and how people are going to perceive it or when they're going to, like, when it's going to catch their attention.
So there's multiple groups for your mixes to share. So just find groups that suit your style. Like, so obviously I'm not going to post a raw mix in a reverse page. So like,
true.
YOLO.
Stuff it. Do it anyway.
So actually I did a reverse set the other day and posted it in a reverse group, but I started with donk, so they wrote this isn't reverse and removed it.
Yeah.
Wow. I was like, it was only 2 donk songs.
But hey, any publicity can be good publicity.
Yeah.
That's true.
But so it's a good way to boost your organic reach as well. I definitely find,
Cool. Well, moving on with the show, I always like to ask my guests, what do you get up to in your downtime? Everyone wants to know a bit about you guys personally. So tell me, you first, what do you like to do in your spare time when you're not doing work? Let's even say not music-related things. Like,
Okay.
what do
I'm
you guys
really
get up to?
boring. Let's start there. If it's honestly, like, if I'm not, like, I don't know, going for walks or, like, hikes.
You're a bit
hikes,
outdoorsy then, go on adventures and stuff, yeah?
To an extent. If it's too hot, I am staying indoors.
Yeah.
But I really like reading,
Cool.
and I read a lot. So I just spend time with me.
Any books at the
Drink
moment?
coffee. Yeah, so I'm reading 2 books at the moment, like just, flicking through the chapters. One is like this book called Empire, and it's just like a kind of like a history, political book. And then the other one is called, I forgot the second book. It's like an espionage. No, it's like a book on espionage and like spies and things like that. And it talks.
Cool.
I'm like kind of obsessed with like Russia.
Right.
And so I'm like, it's got like a whole chapter based on that. I'm like,
Like Secret Service agents,
yeah.
politics
But
and
it's
stuff.
like fact. I do not like fiction at all. Except for like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. They're like my guilty pleasures. But
Fair.
anyway, that's enough geeky.
Makes sense. How about you, Jess?
I try and spend most of my downtime with my son. But a lot of the time lately he's actually got into music, so a lot of the time our downtime is music. Like he's like already starting to learn production.
Awesome. Sweet.
So I'll just do like a lot of things with him, and then we're working on his mixing and that at the moment as well.
Next superstar, that's great.
He loves it. But if it's not with my son and things for myself, I'm always looking for new adventures. I like to always keep busy. I don't really give myself downtime.
You
which
like
is
to
probably
be out more rather than home, or?
I like venturing out and doing things outdoors. I over Christmas just went out to the country, so we went out on the boat, and like we'd go out like picking and stuff like that. Like just, I'm a bit of a country bumpkin.
That's cool.
I like doing sheep work and all that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
But so I do like yabbing and that sort of stuff. But can't really do much of that here. So just like I do like a lot of reading and stuff. But I'm always trying to think, what can I do to help people more? So I've actually just recently started, which just finished the first level. I've got a 3-level course to become a health and wellness coach.
Oh, awesome. Congrats.
Nursing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. So, and I only just finished uni last year for my postgrad for specialising in theatres with the nursing. So, and I've just finished 2 years of uni and already I'm like, all right, next course.
Yeah.
So I like upskilling all the time, no matter what I'm doing.
Just always learning something new, yeah.
I guess that sometimes distracts me from my production. So this year I do want to work on being able to level between both of them and put more time in my production, but still upskilling at the same time. I guess my ultimate goal would be like be an awesome entrepreneur and have all my time for music.
Yeah, totally.
That would be awesome.
Dream, hey.
Yeah,
Cool.
So yeah, that's about it.
Finishing up the show, I like to give my guests all the opportunity to do some shout outs. So, Em, you first. Any shout outs you want to give?
Just to all my fans. I love you guys. No, I do. I appreciate the support, from everyone, people that have been there from the beginning or people that are, just discovering me. I appreciate the support, and it really gets me through those times where I absolutely do not want to do, you know, music or certain things, and it's just, yeah, I love you guys. I appreciate it. And stay tuned. I really want to try and get some original music out this year, so keep an eye out for that.
So some originals planned from M.
Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Jess? Any shout outs?
Shout out to, like Em said, my fans, my promoters that give me my fans, and my son and my mum. Hi, Mum.
Awesome, cool. Thanks so much for being on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet, we are done.